give you guys a little tour of our playroom slash homeschool room for the kids. This has been so highly requested and I was really adamant about not doing this, but a lot of you are asking just to see simply what is in here, what is helpful, because you plan on homeschooling your children and so you just wanted a little inside scoop of things. And what really encouraged me was there was a mom in particular who said she really wanted to see little things that I do, because even though in my mind it might be little and make sense and just like be easy to think of, she was saying that that might be something that someone might not actually think to do and would be really wise to just share that. So that is my heart behind sharing this. So as you can see, we have Dutch doors in here. When we were building, this was something I was super adamant about having because these doors act as if they are baby gates. And so this works really well because when we have friends over and when I just simply want my kids to be able to play in the playroom and stay in here strictly, this acts as a little baby gate and ensures that they stay here, but I can also hear what's going on and make sure that everyone is safe. So that is the reason why I ended up doing Dutch doors. Most of the time this ends up staying closed and just this one is open. We actually have not had fingers getting hurt or like too many slamming of doors, which is honestly shocking. That was one thing our builder was like, are you sure you want to do that? So that has not been a problem, but come on in. Now, I do have a couple of disclosures before we start. This is our first time having a space and a room that is designated and has closed doors for a playroom. In our first house, our kitchen was a playroom. In our second house, we had like a little loft area that we turned into a playroom. Our house after that, we had a formal living room area that we turned into a playroom. I really want to emphasize that you don't need to have a specific space designated just for play or for homeschool to be able to homeschool your kids or have an area where they can play. We are so blessed to be able to have this space, but it is not necessary. And I really want to make sure that we're not coveting this space because you can teach your children in every single space. Our previous kitchen was where we learned and where I did a lot of stuff with my kids. And so this was my mood board for this space. And so I will say this is probably about 90% done. There are still like curtains that I want to hang up. I actually haven't finished the ducks yet. I ran out of the duck decals to be able to go all the way around. I have like this area that's still left. There are still a couple little touches and things that I want to bring in here, but I really wanted this place to be a rich and saturated in color, but also in educational things. And so I am a very visual learner. And although my kids are not learning about the digestive system just yet, they always ask me about it. And they're always asking like, when it goes through our esophagus and then where does it go? And like, they are just always wanting to learn. And so I plopped up a digestive system poster because while they might not fully understand it yet, I think their little brains are starting to. And so that was like the heartbeat behind this wall, this wall right here is what I was talking about. And I would say that this room has been about 5 years in the making ever since I first had my first child. I've slowly started to collect things to be able to use in this space eventually. And so some of these are like vintage pieces that I found. I was really going for just color saturation, hence the yellow. And I'll talk about that real quick, but I found this MDF scallop on Etsy and I was going between red and yellow, and ultimately I decided on yellow because of how good it looked with the ducks. But again, I just really wanted this area to feel really happy. And if you guys have followed along for a while, I painted a ladder yellow. And at that point, that's when I fell in love with this yellow. I can write it down below if you would like, but this wall right here is where most of my kids face. So I have a world map, different insects, different animals, United States map, anatomy with bones and muscles, colors in Portuguese. I have our verse of the week. I have the vowels, color theory, digestive system, this board, which we honestly don't use as much as I once did. because we're big on whiteboards. The kids all have individual whiteboards, so I actually use those instead. You probably can't see too well, but I have the alphabet here. I have this, which I have just hanging. It's the good and the beautiful alphabet, and then the 100 chart in the back, which I reach for frequently. I have a little felt thing of the ABCs hanging down, and then I have this guy. So this guy has been in my family for several years now. It's just always been used, but right now what I use this for is all of their like educational toys for them to use during homeschool. So if you aren't familiar with how I do homeschool, I have 3 of my kids in here with me, all under the age of 5. Sometimes I have my baby in here depending if he's napping or not, but most of the time I am bouncing between children. And so in order for there not to be like a lull or just a random waiting period, I encourage them to come over here, because in here I have different things for them to be able to work on that are enriching and help with spelling, or with telling time, or counting money, or reading their own books, or making words and spelling. It has all kinds of things in here. And so this is why I kept this right here, because the table that we use is right here. And so my theme, and you'll see throughout all of this, is anything that I need, I keep in as close proximity as I possibly can. And I used to have a cabinet in our old playroom / homeschool room that had everything in it. It was in close proximity. And so pretty much everything that you see here used to be in that cabinet. Now things are kind of more spread out. But this is what I have over here. Now moving on into this little corner. This is usually where I stand, which I don't really do that much of. When I say stand, I mean like if I'm trying to show them something, because I usually am just kind of around the table. But again, I have the alphabet, all things like where they can see. And then here I have my stuff. This is up high, because these are things I do not want my children to have access to. And because I wanted to be able to have access to it, but I didn't want my children to have access to it. So having it up high is how I was able to do that. This is where I have all my expo markers for whiteboards that I'll show you in a second. This is where I have all the stickers. If you don't do stickers and stamps with your kids, I highly recommend it, because it is just a fun little thing to do once they complete their work. It's small, but they really love it. I also have timers up here, and then like erase markers and things. And then some sticky notes, because sometimes when I want them to work independently, I will leave a sticky note on the work that they are required to do, so they know what pages to do, and then they're not having to ask me every 4 seconds, you know, just little things. Okay, and then here we have our calendar. We don't do calendar every day. There was a point where I did. I just don't think it's necessary right now. It wastes a lot of their mental energy that could be used for something more difficult. And so don't really do it. It's more just because I had it. Emotions chart, and then this is the part that I wanted to really show, because this, again, proximity to me. We are really big on arts and crafts and doing things that are messy. I specifically got a very old table to be able to not trash it, but to be able to just use paint and use clay and do pottery on top of it and just do fun kid things without being worried of the table getting ruined. And so I have paint available to my children 24/7. And so I have their the paint thing that they use. So I am a big fan of watercolors for the reason that it usually does not stain. But the big thing is that they're able to access this and do it all on their own. So one thing that I did to be able to hang these up is, at our old house, I did cafe curtains, and I had a ton of these little clips left over because I bought too many, but I hung on to them, and I'm glad that I did, because I've used them here. And so this is for a cafe curtain, but because it has a clip and it's a really sturdy clip, what I've done is I've clipped them onto here, and then I have a little hook. So my kids are able to get this, because this is like just really big and really bulky, kind of awkward to deal with. It doesn't really fold well, like it was a hassle otherwise, and so hanging them up makes it really easy. but each kid has their own like little paint things. So yes, they do use these, but most of the time I will say the paint does not end up on this, it ends up everywhere else. So it's okay. They each have their own little cup thing, and then they each have their own paint. So again, this is something that they like to do and grab when I am working with someone else or doing something else. Okay, right here underneath me, I have this little llama. This little cutie patootie has, this little cutie has some of these that I got. My cat is having a blast in here. I got some at Once Upon a Child, and then I can't remember where I got the other ones, but these are little things to write on. They're like placemats. And so sometimes I will place these in front of my kids so they can write their ABCs. This one has math, and it goes all the way up to like 20s. So depending, and well, subtraction. This one has the continents. This one has clock, which I really love. You can make your own clock, and then they can practice their own time. So again, just like little things that I like to have at hand. I also keep all of like our boards. I have these coloring pads that I will give to my toddler, and just white blank paper because we do frequently draw. They have a couple of like drawing things that they can work and practice on. And then this is where I keep our whiteboards. We're big whiteboard people. I like to use it for money. I like to use it for new letters. I like to use it for spelling. I just really like having the whiteboards, so they each have their own. And then again, I keep the markers up here. And then I also do have some of these more of the good and beautiful things to just keep them busy. These are like little flip books, and just pictures that they can look at in books that are more educational. And then I have our Bible in here too. Hoo-wee, I'm hot. Okay, let's chat about the table real quick. So, can't remember if I already said it, but it is from Facebook Market, and I specifically wanted a really old table. I believe this was in the family's house for many, many years. I did go ahead and put some name tags on here, and then I also have the alphabet right underneath because, again, I wanted to very much so visually saturate this place with information and education in case any of my children are visual learners, which a couple of mine are. So right now on here we have some of the KiwiCo stuff my kids were just working on, and they are sponsoring this portion of today's video. If you guys aren't familiar with KiwiCo, they are a subscription for your kids, and so they send you different boxes with STEM activities and very engaging and interactive toys. So we really enjoy it for our older kids because we use it as part of homeschool. So they got a map, they got some color theory stuff, and our baby got some things. So it's really great because, again, I use this for my toddler. It helps keep her busy. She has an entire bin over there with some of her KiwiCo stuff that she got in her box this month. And so it is just a really amazing way to be able to consistently provide your children with different activities and enriching activities that you guys can do together that are STEM. And so I'm going to have my link down below where you can get 50% off your first month of KiwiCo. And so I would definitely take advantage of that. If you do homeschool, I think it's a great way. It's like the most perfect thing to do on a Friday, because for us, Fridays are very slow days for homeschool. And so that is usually when we will take advantage of that. And then once a box comes in, my kids cannot stop playing with the things. And so that's what is up here. So this is the color theory thing, and they have, again, not been able to stop playing with it. So I just have it up here because I know they'll love it. I thrifted this little caddy, and again, I keep everything that we need. I have colored pencils here, both just like normal Crayola ones, and then I have these skinny, a little bit fatter but also shorter ones that are from IKEA. These are probably my favorite ones because of how easy it is for the kids to grip them. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that this is like my favorite hack ever for my toddler. I have her use stickers for pretty much everything. I'll have her like put stickers around in a circle or in a square. It just keeps her busy and she loves them. So I have these in all kinds of different colors. We have erasers, different types of pencils. We just now started introducing like normal pencils. Before then, we were using these ones from Amazon that are again a little chubbier, a little bit shorter. I'll link everything down below, but these I really, really like because of the fatness. We also have, again, paint supplies because they have access to painting stuff all the time. And then I do have scissors for each child. Now, these I do keep out because we have not had problems with scissors. Praise the Lord. And my toddler really does enjoy cutting, and that's a skill that we're trying to teach her right now. And so she will come in here and cut things on her own, but she knows what she can and cannot cut. If you have a problem with this, I highly suggest putting this up high, and then pencil sharpeners. So this thing is just always on the table. Hope you can see me okay, but I thrifted this little guy, and this is where I keep all of the kids' curriculum. So I have it organized not by child, but by like binding, because I found that when I was mixing unbinded with binded stuff, it just like got tangled up. So I have binded stuff and then other things. And I just have it memorized in my head where I know and plop out what they need to do. And the reason why I love having their name tags and everyone has assigned seating is because I will lay out what they need to do that day. And so the first couple of things that I do is stuff that they can do on their own. And then again, I label it with the blue so they know what they need to do that day, and then I can kind of bounce around. If I still need to nurse my baby, this gives me a couple minutes to be able to do that and just get things done. So again, I highly, highly, highly suggest having everything that you need right next to you, because there was a point where I didn't and things were over in the closet over there, and I found that I was losing people. By the time I was walking over there, they got distracted and wanted to do something else. So having this all right here has been super helpful. I also have some flashcards in here of things that we're currently working on. The nice flashcards that we have, and then I have a lot of glue, both like clear glue and like normal stick glue in here. And then down here I have googly eyes and then some of their math stuff. So I really like using math beads for my kids, but then the Good and the Beautiful also has their own. So I have that as well. The kids just built this with KiwiCo. We're learning about clocks, so I have this up here, but it also is so soothing to hear. I don't know if it's just me, but I think the ticking of a clock is so nostalgic, and I want my kids to have that tick, or like, it's just really calming. So I have that in here, a little lamp that we thrifted that, you know, she works sometimes. She's super cute. And then right behind you guys is kind of like the last portion of the playroom. And that is the common whiteboard that we have. And down here, I have a bunch of letters and things. So when I need children to spell things, this is where I'll just kind of send them and have them spell different things. And then up here, I really wanted a space to display arts and crafts because we do a lot of that. And so I just got colored clothing pins, and I just got some hot glue, and I literally just glued them on the wall. I don't know that my husband would necessarily approve of this and recommend that I do this again, but it's worked really well. And so they just know, put their stuff here, let things dry. I have thought of putting like a little drying rack down here too, because sometimes our stuff is pretty wet, but haven't done that just yet. That is just a thought that I have had. And then this is the opposite wall to where all of the posters and things are. And so this is where I have their toys and a couple of other like things for them to color, again for my toddler, writing stuff. It all stays here. I haven't finished this yet. My original thought was to have just empty frames and put up pictures that they have drawn, but I haven't done that yet. We also have a cuckoo clock that we see every day. It's not working, so I have to manually do the cuckoo clock, but the kids really love the cuckoo clock. Now here, this thing that I bought a couple years back for our previous home is actually 2 stacked on top of each other, so if I want, I can have them be long and short. But I love cubby style for kids' rotations. I used to share a lot more about rotations and things, but as my kids have gotten older, I just don't have as much time to do it, and they play outside all the time. And so I more so keep this stuff for my toddler and for my baby and things that they like and they can reach for. So for example, like my baby, this is the stuff that he got in his Panda Crate this month, and so it just has really cute little wooden pieces for him to play with and to fidget with, and he just really loves these things, and so I just keep a little box for him down here. And I will say this room is consistently changing. There is not a very frequent amount of time where I find that it always looks the same. I like to change it in here. I've changed the way that this table faces. I've changed this and put it over there and put this over here. Like, I'm just constantly changing things up because I think it's just fun to have things be changed. Okay, now the last little piece is the front side. So because we have the double doors, the space that we have allotted in the sides isn't as big. So right now I currently have a little play kitchen, and then I also have a little reading nook area, which you probably can't see too well, but it's just a little wicker chair. And then I have a little basket with books alongside it, and so it's really cute because my kids will just go and sit there and like flip through pages and books and things. And so the kitchen, again, like I feel like I'll keep this in for like a month and then I'll switch it out and maybe I'll put nothing there. We have a barn right here too, but again, we've had really good weather right now, and so we just really are not in here unless we're doing homeschool. Like, they are outside really much, as like all the time. So this concludes our tour. We do have a closet in there, but you do not want to go in there at the moment. It has our like rotation of extra toys and things, and it could definitely use a mother's touch, but with Thanksgiving being this week, that is gonna have to wait. So I hope this video blesses you. I hope it inspired you with cute little tiny tricks and tips that you could do in your homeschool room, or where you teach your kids. I'll have pretty much everything that I can find linked down below. A lot of these things are thrifted or from Facebook Market, so if you don't see a link, that's probably why. Thank you to KiwiCo for sponsoring this portion of today's video. I'm gonna have them linked again down below if you wanna get 50% off your first month. I love you guys, be blessed, and I'll see you in my next video.